Hi everyone. It's Tuesday. I'm trying to get this hair out of my face. It's Tuesday, March 24th. You don't like that. I'm always fussing with my hair when I get on here. I guess everybody's in quarantine, right? I think the whole world is in quarantine right now. And so we're all facing some trying times, if you will. There you go. That's better. My name is Barbara Moore, and this is Catch Your Breath 60 at Facebook Live. We come here every Tuesday afternoon at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hi, Kevin. How are you doing today? Thank you for your compliment. How's everybody doing with the quarantine? And because I think everybody's in isolation right now, aren't we? Are we worldwide in isolation? I know Canada has been shut down. My province is on quarantine, and all except for essential services are going to be closed down tonight at 12 o'clock midnight. So where you are at 12 o'clock midnight, you have to be for the next 14 days. And I'm not sure if everybody else is under these restrictions, but we certainly are. And I'm wondering how everybody's managing. So, Kevin, what are you doing to pass your time for the isolation? I know you must be in isolation because you have COPD, the same as I do, and most of us are just simply not going out for the duration, right? And so what are you doing to pass the time? Last week we started to talk about some mindfulness, and I'm wondering if anybody got on to doing some mindfulness or found some interesting sites to join for mindfulness. Hi, Carol. Thank you for joining us today. Essential services in New York and New Jersey does not include liquor stores, and you know there's a very good reason for that. Yay. Essential services in Ontario does not include liquor stores or actual weed stores because, you know, in Canada, marijuana is legal throughout the country. So in every province in Canada, it is legal. And you're right, they're not shutting down those stores, and there's a very, very good reason for that. We would be bringing more harm upon ourselves by closing those places than we would leaving them open. I can't imagine shutting down the liquor stores what people would be going through with an alcoholic person in their house. I want to say father, but you know that's not always the case. So with an alcoholic person in their house who was suddenly not able to get their self-medication, right? So I think that it's a good thing that is not happening. Hi, Susan. Thank you for joining us today. I'm really glad to have you here today. So everybody's on quarantine, and I want to know what everybody's doing. I want to know what you have done this week that has made you proud of yourself. So I'll tell you a little bit about what I've been doing. I have been self-isolating. I have seen nobody except my son and my husband. My son is essential services, and so he still is working. But my grandson's second birthday was on Sunday, and we weren't able to see him. That broke my heart. But we have been Skyping every day or talking to each other through Hangouts, which is pretty cool, you know, and he thinks it's pretty silly, especially when he sees his grandfather on there. But hi, Larissa. How are you today? I'm pretty proud of myself that I had the restraint not to go over there and visit my grandson on Sunday. So what else? What has everybody else done that's made themselves proud this week? I think that anybody who has stayed in for the past week, and I remember, you know, last week was, if you remember, it was St. Patrick's Day, right? And everybody was like, oh my God, did you hear that they shut down the pubs in Ireland on St. Patrick's Day, right? It was pretty amazing to us, but here we are now, we're all in the same boat. So I'm glad that you're hanging in there. Oh, Carol's husband's home for the duration, is he? Yeah, it's interesting, right? It's a whole different ballgame when husband and wife are home in the same house, especially with the kids, right? And I hear people saying, I heard a lot of people say last week, we have, in Ontario, we have a natural break in March. We call it March break, and everybody takes a week off, right? The schools are closed and everything. So I heard a lot of people say last week, well, we'll give the kids a week off and then we're going to start homeschooling. And I thought, oh my God, those poor kids, like poor kids, right? So it is very sad. What was sadder, Carly, how are you? Nice of you to join us today. So reading Monopoly card games with the family, that's fun, right? It's fun if you can turn off the TV and get some card games going with the family. And some funny stuff, hi, Christine, thanks for joining us today. Hi, Elaine. Not, serious stuff. We got to kind of lighten it up a little bit, right? We can't be doing serious stuff. So I feel sorry for these kids whose parents think that they can homeschool them because, it takes more than just opening the book to homeschool. And I hope that you're taking it easy on the kids. Or you can talk to your own children and ask them to be kind of easy on your grandchildren because, they're not teachers. And everybody who's going to go back in September, we were pretty much told yesterday, and it's not written in stone, but we're pretty much told yesterday that our kids won't be going back until September. But when they go back in September, everybody will be starting at the same place, where they missed a half a year. Oh, Larissa, you have to start exercising. This is a great time to take up exercises or to try new exercises if you're home. If you have COPD or basically any chronic illness, it doesn't matter what you've got, right? It doesn't matter if it's actual COPD or whether it's lupus or arthritis or whatever you've got. If you're home, if you're in pain, you need to start exercising. This is not a good thing for us, right? And I found myself yesterday, I was unmotivated. I wasn't doing anything. All I was doing was listening to the news, and I thought, no, I got to turn this off. I've got to stop this, right? So if you're home and you've got the time, and now everybody has the time because nobody's visiting, nobody's going anywhere, it's a really good time to ramp up your exercise. Has anybody? And I know most of us have some hobbies that we do, right? So, has anybody read anything good? Is there any good books that we can exchange titles on here and how we can get them? I know, Carol, can you remind us of the place where you get your books for free? I know you had it on here a little while ago, and I think we've kind of missed it. Hi, Bev. Nice of you to join us today. Everybody's got the time to do it right now, eh? So any good books? I belong to something called BookBub, and if anybody wants a link, just email me at catchyourbrest60@gmail.com, and I'll send you a link and sign you up for it. It's really good. The books are like $1.99 to $2.99 usually, and usually they come in every day to your mailbox, and you usually get one free. So Carol's saying at Thrift, I just have to wait till this goes up till I can read it. Carol, I don't know why it went dark there and I can't read what it says. It says thriftbooks.com. Thank you. That's great. Hi, Merlin. How are you today? So we're looking for any good book titles. So I read a book called Calling All Invisible Women. Excellent book. It was really, really funny about a woman who woke up one day and she was invisible and all the antics that she goes through. And that was a really, really good book. So Calling All Invisible Women, that was a really good book. It's an excellent time right now to start your journaling. And I want you to know that we are living in historical times right now. Everybody is going to look back at this time in history. If you live on the eastern seaboard, you will remember that back in 2004, I think it was, We were in darkness. Somebody hit something on the control panel, wherever it is, and the whole eastern seaboard went dark. And and it was in August, and one of the funny things that comes around every year is, where were you when the eastern seaboard went dark? And everybody can remember where they were that day. So going forward to 2020, everybody is going to remember where they were and what they did during the isolation of coronavirus, Corona-19. So it's an excellent time to start writing some of the things down that you're doing, how you got through the isolation. It's really hard, eh? And, you know, I've said to more people this week, this is, when you have a chronic illness, this is how you live your life. You live your life basically in isolation. I stay away from people. I don't get too close to people. I don't go a lot of places where there's a lot of people. God forbid that I'd go to a wedding. I did that once, not ever doing that again. You know, staying away from things like perfumes and things like that, right? So we don't go into crowded places. We don't go close to people. We don't, we don't do a lot of hugging and kissing and stuff like that. So basically we live like this anyways when we have a chronic illness. But there's a huge difference between this being voluntary and it being mandatory. Right now it is mandatory, and nobody is allowed in and nobody's allowed out. Basically, that's the way that it is, right? So it's a little bit different. It starts playing mind games with you, right? So I think it's important that we kind of share some things that we've done. So tell me what you've done for the past week. The Secret. Oh, The Secret by Rhonda Bryan. Positive Thinking. The Secret is an excellent book. Has anybody else read that? Thank you, Helen. That's a great book to read. And it's a whole series, and there's a whole bunch of stuff on the internet. And it is the power of positive thinking. It's basically the conception that if you believe it, and you will see it, right? And it will come true, right? Yeah, Bev, we are pro-isolators, aren't we? We definitely know how to isolate ourselves and stay away from other people, right? Yesterday, my husband went into the garage and my son went into his toolbox, and we actually found a couple of N95 face masks. I will not be using them because I will not be going out in the public. So my son gave them to the healthcare, to the nurses. He gave them to the nurses' ward, so that was great, right? So The Secret is really good, and it's a really good time to start. If you haven't looked at it already, you can look it up. It's a really good concept in these times, right? Because it is the power of positive thinking, and it gets you thinking positively about things that can happen in the future and how you make that happen, right? So that's great. Anything else? Anybody see any good movies this week? So for those of us, once again, with chronic illness, you know, we kind of like these movies. And hi, Gwen, how are you today? How are you making out in the isolation? I hope that you're doing okay. So the other night we were watching on Netflix. And once again, for those of us that have lung problems or have chronic illnesses, these are kind of movies that we like. And this movie is called 5 Feet Apart. Has anybody seen it? 5 Feet Apart. And you'll get the gist of it, and you should have the gist of it now from being in this isolation of having to be 6 feet apart from everybody. The person is in the hospital. She's a younger girl, and she has CF. And she has a boyfriend, and she wants to stay with him. She wants to be with him, but he has something that she can contract, and so they must stay 5 feet apart, which is pretty interesting concept, right? You know, it's supposed to be 6 feet apart, but she decided that 5 feet would be enough. And so it's an interesting concept about people with lung illness and how they manage, right? So, and most of us have been there, most of us have been through that, so we actually know what's happening. So any other good movies that anybody has seen? Pirates of the Caribbean. It's an excellent series, and it's so funny. I love him so much. He's absolutely fabulous. So Gwen, have you seen any good movies lately or read any good books? It's harder when you're by yourself, eh? It's much, much harder when you're by yourself, I'm sure. And I think that most of us are a little bit bored these days. We're kind of not feeling so much like this wasn't exactly what we asked for, right? So let's talk a little bit about mindfulness and meditation. We talked the last couple of weeks about mindfulness, and My Brilliant Friend on HBO. Oh, okay. So there's another good movie, My Brilliant Friend, on HBO. Never heard of it, but that's something that we might look up. Private Practice. Where is that, Bev? Where did you see that Private Practice? Is it on Netflix? I tend to like medical shows and lawyer shows, cop dramas, stuff like that, right? So let's talk a little bit about mindfulness and meditation. There's never been a better time to practice mindfulness and meditation. Mindfulness is meditation, basically. So this is something that we can do when we're by ourselves. And there's something that we can do when we're in a crowd. We can do it anywhere. It's a matter of learning to take control. It's not something that we do once and then we just say, oh, well, I've done it. It's something that is a way of living. We have to include it in our life. We have to practice over and over and over again. And believe me when I tell you, it took me a long, long, long time before I got before I got my mindfulness down pat. It's something that we do over and over and over again. And just as you've started, and you think, I'm crap at this, like I just really can't do this, right? The more you practice, the better you get at it. And eventually what happens is you start to yearn for it. You start to crave it, and you look forward to it all day. So meditation puts you in touch with what's going on in your mind. And for a lot of us right now, we have a lot of things going through our mind. And anxiety probably plays a big role in a lot of what you're thinking these days. We always tend to think when something's going on that our mind normally flips to what's going to happen, and what's going to happen is going to be the worst case scenario. So most of us out there are thinking probably that if coronavirus is going to get somebody, it's going to get me. And we have to learn to talk down this meditation because we certainly don't want to attract it. If you read The Secret and if you follow The Secret, you'll know what I'm talking about. We don't want to think about it because we don't want to attract it. So if medication puts us in touch with what is going on in our mind, what is going on in your mind right now? What are you thinking about all this situation? It's a very, very scary days that we're living in. We found out yesterday that 2 weeks is not going to do it. We thought at first that we were through the first week, we were getting into the second week, and that this was going to be over. And now we found out that it's probably going to be another month before we actually start getting back to normal, and it could be much, much longer than that. So I talked last week about Headspace, which is the one that I use, and there was some criticism about it because Headspace is, there's a cost for it. After a month, I believe that there is a $7.99 a month charge for it. So that doesn't work for a lot of people. But there is a free one that you can go on and you can use it. Also, Calm Radio has something that's free and go on. So has anybody tried Calm Radio before? It's an excellent app that gives you lots of opportunities. There is a paid version of calm as well. And that, when you start paying for it, then it kind of gets into deeper and longer and better meditations when you pay for it. But certainly there's tons and tons of stuff out there that you can find on the internet for free. You don't have to pay for it. Anything at YouTube, anytime if you go to YouTube, you'll see there's lots and lots and lots of stuff that is free. Then you just have to find one that you like. Mindfulness is finding space in your mind and to make informed choices about what your life is as it is. It's not religious, it's spiritual. And I love the spiritual aspect of meditation because the spiritual aspect is taking care of me and my mind. And it's keeping my senses aligned. It's keeping things the way that they should be, right? And it's all about me. This is one of the things that I found when I first got sick was that this was the first time in my life that I had ever been encouraged to or given permission to take care of only me. And it was a really good thing because once we get sick the way that we are, once we have these problems that we have, we need to take care of ourselves. We need to. Part of the problem why we are where we are right now is because we haven't taken care of ourselves in the past. It's finding the space in your mind to make informed choices about your life, not somebody else's life. So don't look at the person who is doing the meditation with you and say, I have to be like her. I have to wear the tights and I have to have my hair pulled back and I have to do this and I have to do that. This is your life that we're talking about. Pay attention when your mind is full. You don't have to manage it. Stick with your senses. And this is the other thing that I love about mindfulness. It is taking what you are overwhelmed about and it is concentrating on your breathing. And we know that once you concentrate on your breathing and you get your breathing under control, then everything else falls in line, right? So, when your breathing is controlled, then your heart rate is controlled, everything else is controlled, and now you can control your mind. Beverly Gray says she's overwhelmed at times. She has to pick up scripts. I'm convincing myself to drive to get it. I have my gloves and my mask, and I can get through the drive-through. Bev, is there nobody who can deliver your stuff for you? We've had everything delivered at least in Canada. I don't know what you're doing in the States. I haven't really been paying too much attention. In the States, in Canada, we're having everything delivered. So our drugs are delivered every Tuesday. Our groceries are delivered every Saturday. The only thing that my husband has to go out for is if we want something at the liquor store. And there's not much else, So I'm wondering if you can get those delivered. Well, Mary, Mary Wallace says that she has time, she has a problem giving herself that time, right? If you can't get past the fact that this is your time, we worked all our lives. Most of us started working when we were 13 or 14, and we worked all our lives and contributed to a family and everything else. And if you can't give yourself this time, I think we have a deeper problem here, right? I think we have a deeper problem than, because you have to be able to give yourself time right now. You owe it to yourself, right? So Kevin says, be careful about the packages. Make sure that you wipe them down and everything. So what we do is when my husband goes to get the packages, I don't go to the door at all. When my husband goes to get the packages, he wears gloves and then he throws them out. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Aubin. Aubin can't find any place that delivers. That's too bad. I guess it depends on what city you're in, right? So let's get back to our mindfulness, and we're talking about concentrating on mindfulness, right? So the thing that I love about mindfulness is that it concentrates on your breathing, and what do we have to do most of the time is concentrate on our breathing. So it brings everything back to our senses. And so once we have our breathing under control, and that's where we normally are concentrating on, we have our breathing under control, we are using our other senses of feeling, touching, and smelling. Normally we have our eyes closed, so we're not actually feeling it. We're not actually seeing it, but we are feeling it, right? And yes, we all deserve the time to ourselves. We've all raised families. We've all worked all of our lives. And yeah, we do deserve this time to ourselves. We have to get to a point where this is okay for us to do. Once you start practicing mindfulness and you keep up your mindfulness, you will be able to summon it to come to you in times when you are feeling a lot of anxiety. So I predict what's going to happen to me, and I don't know if this will be for everybody. I predict that I will be in the house for approximately 6 full weeks, and that at some time I will have to go out of the house. And what's going to happen now? We're going to suffer a lot of anxiety going out of the house because we've been in for so long, right? And this will become our normal routine. So the more you practice mindfulness now, the better you're going to be able to summon it when the threat is there, or when you are feeling the anxiety of having to leave the house, right? Be kind to yourself. Be alone with your thoughts. Come to your breath. Concentrate. Don't try too hard. Just let it happen. And I hope that everybody will be practicing some mindfulness throughout the next week, so that we can meet again next week and talk some more about mindfulness. So please leave your comments today. Leave a good book to read, a good movie to watch. Anything else that you're doing that you're using to pass the time would be absolutely fabulous. We need to be here as a community for each other and to support each other. So I'm going to leave this with you right now. If you weren't here, yeah, good for you, Carol. Carol says she's learning to find peace in solitude. Yeah, it's a really tricky thing being by yourself, right? It's kind of mind-blowing to sit with yourself for a time and learn to find peace in solitude. Excellent way to put it, Carol. Thank you for that. So if you weren't here today, what would you be doing right now instead of joining us today? We had a lot of people join today, and that, of course, is because people are home today and they're not at work, so they're just fooling. Everybody's kind of just fooling around on Facebook. So let me leave you with this today. If you weren't here today on Tea Time Tuesday with us, what would you be doing? Kevin would be with his good buddy John. Oh, he just joined. Oh, good. Oh, good. I'm glad that you had somebody join. This is Barbara Moore for Catch Your Breath 60. I appreciate everything that you contribute to my page. And if you have anything interesting that you'd like to share with us, please do. You can join me at Catch Your Breath 60 on Facebook. You can join me on, you can text me or email me at any time at catchyourbreath60.com, at gmail.com. And please feel free to text me with anything that you have. Anything that you'd like to see in all your funny memes. We love to have a good laugh here at Catch Your Breath 60. This is Barbara Moore signing off for the week. Thank you very much, and have a safe, happy isolation.